Okay, hi. It is 8 p.m. Pacific time, March 4th. Oh, look at my husband coming in with a scotch on the rocks. Okay. Oh, and a half an orange, too. It is 8 p.m. Thanks, honey. It's 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on March 4th. I have zero interest in talking about the fascist State of the Union that was delivered by, I'm not sure who, Donald Trump or Elon Musk. Y'all will have to tell me because I was not watching it. I was watching the live stream of my Senator, Ron Wyden, who gave his own alternative. He did not attend the fascist State of the Union, despite many other Democratic members of Congress doing so. Instead, he gave a town hall where about 5,400 Oregonians attended. Okay, first off, mad props to Ron Wyden for standing up and refusing to attend, refusing to lend credence and credibility to Donald Trump and what his regime is doing, and instead spending his time on a much more worthwhile activity, which is listening to his constituents here in Oregon. I have been calling my reps nonstop, telling them to boycott this event tonight. And I actually got an email reply from my Congresswoman Maxine Dexter about it, and I will read that in another video because I want to make sure that I respectfully and accurately communicate her position, because she did take the time to reply to my frustration that Democrats were attending the State of the Union. But first, let's get to this town hall. So there were a number of constituents that raised their concerns, and one of the ones that I thought was most telling early on was a mom with a 37-year-old autistic son who also has schizophrenia and is in a adult group home. His care is funded by Medicaid, and she is incredibly worried about what will happen with the cuts that are proposed for Medicaid, $880 billion worth of cuts that will come in order to fund tax cuts for billionaires. And I think a lot of people don't necessarily think about the disabled members of our communities who rely on Medicaid funding. Like, is this what we really want as a society? Folks with schizophrenia no longer being able to get access to their meds or their physicians because they no longer have health coverage through Medicaid and being turned out of their group homes and onto the street. Is this really what we want in the United States of America? And of course, the senator responded empathetically because he has a sibling who was schizophrenic and was saying, like, this is not the way to do things. This is not how we want to be treating the members of our community who are most vulnerable, right? And speaking of cuts to our health coverage, Medicare is not exempt from the devastation that Musk and the Trump regime are enacting on the American people. One of the constituents on the call was a woman from rural Oregon. She said that Trump canceling telemedicine as a Medicare benefit is so harmful to our rural elderly communities around the country, everywhere across the nation. These folks cannot afford to travel. She said it is cruel to our elderly. It increases their expenses. If you live in the middle of nowhere and you have to go see your doctor in order to have your medication and your supplies and your treatment covered by Medicare, you have to have repeat check-ins with your physician in order to re-up your prescriptions. She said if you live in a rural location like she does in John Day, Oregon, that you have to do an overnight trip to go see your doctor. There's the mileage, plus meals, plus hotel, plus the cost of the doctor's appointment itself. It is cost prohibitive for many elders, and it's not safe for them to drive. In fact, the senator mentioned, like, these are snowy locations. You're asking seniors to make unsafe trips and incur hundreds and hundreds of dollars of expense for something that could be achieved very easily in a 20-minute telephone or Zoom call. There is no reason to make these changes to Medicare to require in-person appointments. The cruelty is the point. The inflicting suffering is the point. The incurring unnecessary expenses for elders and our healthcare system is the point. The constituent said, why cancel telemedicine? It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, and she's completely right. But this is something that if you voted for the Trump regime, this is what you're getting. This is what you voted for. This is what he is enacting. It's not just Medicaid that's suffering, it's Medicare beneficiaries as well. There was concern expressed about RFK Jr. and the fact that he is not qualified nor capable of handling our public health. In fact, Ron spoke about how he's been fighting against the disinformation that RFK has been putting forth. Measles epidemic that we are experiencing, where a child has already died, several other children are currently hospitalized, and it has expanded across several states in the United States. This is a disease, by the way, that was considered eradicated in the United States at the beginning of the 20th century. Measles is a disease that was declared eradicated in the United States about 20 years ago. And it's only because of vaccine deniers who spread disinformation, like RFK Jr., who has built his career on vaccine misinformation. It's only because of folks like that that we are seeing a dip in vaccination rates and a resurgence of a disease that is entirely preventable. Vaccine, VPD, vaccine preventable disease. These are people getting sick and dying for no reason. It did not have to be. And yet we have RFK Jr., a vaccine denialist, in the position to manage the public health of America. And so I appreciate very much my senator actively pushing back against him. I appreciate that neither of my senators voted to confirm him. Y'all know that I could rant endlessly about RFK Jr. and the active harm that he is causing to the American people, especially to our children. But I'm going to go back to my notes and cover what was talked about in this town hall. So other concerns that were raised, concerns about DOJ firing firefighters and freezing hiring of new firefighters to fight our wildfires in the summers. It's incredibly dangerous. Central and Eastern and Southern Oregon are now everywhere in Oregon is now incredibly prone to wildfires. Thank you, climate change, which Trump and his ilk are now deniers of. Let's not forget the fact that Trump wanting to get rid of FEMA compounds the danger to our communities, the risk, the devastation that will be caused by these fires. It makes no sense for them to be freezing hiring on the folks who fight our fires and firing the current employees who fight our fires and reduce the wildfire risk, not only to protected spaces, but to communities where people live. Let's tag on to that. A constituent brought up a concern. She said her father was a logger. She lives in rural Oregon. She said she's horrified that Trump wants to clear cut 280 million acres of national land, of land that is in the commons, that land that belongs to the people, the forests that belong to the people. Trump wants to clear cut them. And if you know anything about best logging practice, you will know that clear cutting is the most environmentally devastating. It also dramatically increases risks for things like erosion, runoff, pollution, damaging our watershed. So she's like, why are we letting this man clear cut 280 million acres of our forests? They belong to us, the people. The national parks, our national forests, they belong to the American people. They don't belong to Donald Trump. They are there for us. They are our heritage. Our wealth is in our national parks, and they are something that should be preserved and conserved for generations, for all people, now, our children, our children's children. And Senator Wyden said he was committed to working with Republicans to pressure Trump to pull back this logging plan. But it's just... There's no plan to stop him, really, right? Okay, I'm running low on time here, so I'll pick a couple other constituents. One said that her daughter has a rare genetic condition that is as of yet undiagnosed, and she works with an undiagnosed rare diseases program funded through the NIH that Elon Musk has illegally stopped. He has illegally cut all funding to it. And she said, this will result in the deaths of many children. And I wrote in my notes, the party of family values who claims that they want to save the children is the party cutting research and funding to save the most vulnerable children in America. Intentionally withdrawing funding that goes into researching cures for and support for children with rare diseases, that is eugenics. Elon Musk has signed the death warrant for our most fragile children. Again, so that he can give himself billions in contracts with the federal government using our taxpayer money. Okay, that pretty much sums up the call. I am grateful for the folks who were on it and expressed their concerns. I am grateful that my senator chose to stand up against fascism and chose to connect with his constituents. I don't really want to hear anything that Donald Trump or Elon Musk said in their fascist State of the Union tonight. I hope that if you watched it in response to whatever horrible things he said, you are able to go connect with the things that help replenish you and help give you hope and encouragement. We are going to get through this. I'm going to go hang out with my kids for a little bit. Please go do something that fills you up and helps nourish you and helps sustain you.